So I'm making this Smithfield's roasted garlic and herb pickling. I am going to add in extra garlic, potatoes, carrots, an onion, some parsley, some sage, and some rosemary, and later I'm going to add in sweet potatoes, and I'm going to squeeze in a lemon. So first, since it won't fit comfortably, I am going to cut it in half. Let's take it out of the package. Making it in my crock pot that my brother-in-law gave me. Don't spill all the juices on it. I am going to leave it in the packaging to cut it in half. Going to rub some of the garlic on it, or just put garlic on top of it. I'm also going to use broth. In the pot. And I've been cheating and buying the garlic. It's already cut up and put in olive oil seeds. My hands have been a little bit out of it, so let me get a spoon. I'm gonna put a decent amount across each one. I'm gonna put a tablespoon of each on each. I'm going to cut up my lemon and squeeze the juices in on it. Usually squeeze it sideways or upwards so that you can't get the seeds in the bowl. Garbage bowl. Now I'm going to use my Pampered Chef onion scorer. It helps get the covering off of onions. And citrus. Use the one side for cutting and the one side you can use to pull on. But I noticed if I just use my fingers, I only get a thin layer off. And then it prevents me from crying when I finish cutting it. And it's perfect on citrus because it takes the white pith out of the orange when or lemon when you're trying to cut it. My compost bowl is rather large. Now, I'm just going to slice it. To prepare the carrots, I'm going to put some vegetable stock into the pot. My onions are cut small. You always want to cover the meat as you roast it in the crock pot or cook it in the crock pot. Add some parsley. And sage works for both pork and chicken. So I'm adding in some sage. Rosemary is the same thing. Rosemary works for a lot of different things. You can either just put it in, or you take a handful and rub it in your hands before you put it in. This would be perfect for me because my hands are still healing. Told to be careful with my back and not bend. And I have a migraine because I lost filling my tooth again. I'm cutting up my carrots. Now I'm taking the crock pot, I'm putting it on low for 8 hours. And I'm just gonna let it cook. I end up putting a timer on my phone so that I can get in the sweet potatoes. They don't take that long to cook. I have a small butternut squash that I'm going to cut up and add into it, and eventually I'm gonna make banana bread again. So, with my hands that's healing, cutting off the bottoms, going to cut this into thin slices. Still gonna scoop out the seeds. Don't like seeds. And I'm going to cut it again into slices so I can make cubes. Now I'm just going to make it even cubes. about the same size I made the onions. So now I am going to cut up some sweet potatoes. Really don't need to add them in with the butternut squash because they're both basically starch. But I'm going to do it anyway. Take the potatoes, cut them in half. And then I'm going to cut them into small cubes. Just like I cut up everything else. So the roast and the potatoes and the squash are done. So I'm just going to take the potatoes and squash and put them into a bowl. And meal prep some. And I'm going to make squash soup tomorrow. The potatoes and squash are so soft. What I like about making loins or roast in a crock pot is it basically folds apart. And it makes it so much easier to cut up. Take this piece and put it in there. As you can see from taking out the vegetables, the top part of this piece of the roast came apart. And it's already in mixed with the vegetables.